Hi, I'm Yaisa, and we are in my studio. This is the studio I rent at the Crawlspace Gallery and Artist Collective, and I've been here for about a year. So yeah, let me show you around. This is probably the first thing I want to talk about. I made this desk. I think maybe like as soon as I signed my lease for the studio, I went to Home Depot and I bought the wood and I built it. It was definitely the first thing in here. I've since then like reinforced it and now I wouldn't sit on it, but, and I really like that it's starting to get little scratches or like you can see some mild rings of where I put my drinks. I like the idea of it, just showing what happens in here. The chair I have at my desk is just a random IKEA desk chair, work chair. It's actually a little bit uncomfortable, but I kind of did this on purpose. Having a more uncomfortable chair kind of helps me stay more productive. I'm not gonna be sitting here like scrolling on TikTok. I'm gonna be sitting here to finish the task that I'm doing, you know, and I can only reward myself with comfort once I'm done the task. Another important thing about this desk is that I try to clear it out at the end of the day. Basically, unless I know I'm in the middle of something and I know I'm gonna come back like the next day at 8 a.m. to work on that same thing, I try to keep it as tidy as possible just so that I can, you know, come back and work on something completely different if I wanted to. Yeah, most of my ideas come randomly. I need to be prepared to catch them. So you'll notice I only have one wall. Because it's just a raw brick wall, I still wanted to hang things up and I didn't want to put up like a big cork board that would cover it. So what I did was I hot glued kind of like a grid of magnets. So then all these things are just kind of on there with magnets. It's a historical building, so this brick is something I want to touch as least as possible. Some of the things on this wall are "You're being filmed" sign in Spanish, a little self-portrait that I made with some nuts and bolts. This is a photo from Liminal Sunday, which is an exhibition I curated here at Crawlspace in January. And then here I have this funnel infographic that I made about like kind of like becoming successful in content creation. Part of my practice is definitely figuring out how to put thoughts into infographics. So this is one of many. This little L right here, I actually came to the studio one day and it was already here. I think it's the L for the Liminal Sunday vinyl, and I think somebody just put it here, which I really appreciate. It's a nice little gift. I was working on aluminum birds for a short period of time, so I have this one hanging here. I might move it because every time I walk by here, it grabs onto my hair. So in this corner, I have this nice lower kind of lounging chair whenever I want to have a break from my uncomfortable chair. This one's also a little bit uncomfortable though, with kind of the same idea. If I really want to rest, I can just go home. Behind me are my silk screens, and then back here is this yardstick that I use to cut kilometers and kilometers of vinyl for my exhibition, Stock Homo. I've customized it with this really cool vinyl used for automotives. I like to joke that I can measure things in chain links now. My locker, no, not my locker. What is this? My drawers hold various things that I don't necessarily want to be looking at. This is a really cool IKEA piece of hardware. And like it goes on the wall like this, and then this spins like that. So I've been keeping it because how fun would it be to have an artwork at the end of the thing, and then visitors can expand it and put it back. So I've been holding on to that for that. Over here we have my bookmaking station. So here I have a binding machine. I picked it up at a thrift store for like $10. Lately I've been interested in exploring like publications. I'm so obsessed. I went and I got spirals of like basically every color. And yeah, being a photographer, I guess little books seems like a good natural progression. This here's my paper cutter. I picked it up at that same thrift store that same day. I don't know what was going on. I customized both of these with this really nice vinyl roll I have. It was on sale when I went to get vinyl for another exhibition. I do have a ball because sometimes my dog comes to visit. And then lastly, back here, I have not one, but two tortilla presses from Mexico. This one's like actually used to make tortillas. It's so heavy and so efficient that I've been using it for small lino cut prints. You know, it's really good for that. This smaller one is definitely just like a collector's thing, but it's also good for small lino cut prints. This is one of the first ones I made with the machine, so it's a little bit rough, but basically, you know, even in this digital age, we receive a lot of papers. Like, there's still a lot of paper in our lives. So I've been kind of exploring like bundles of some of the ephemeral paper that we have as snapshots of our lives. So here I have a handwritten note from somebody that I plant sat for, a couple maps from when I went on a trip, and then lastly, like a Roomba manual. This right here is all the photos that didn't make it into the Liminal Sunday exhibition. These are 4x6 prints, and I took the poster and I basically just made a very small booklet. This one right here is actually an album of found photos from like thrift stores and things, but it's like a pretty interesting exercise in sequencing. And also they're all from different sources too. So like, you know, when you think of the concept of a family album, it's a family, but these are completely strangers. These photos I found in the garbage, for example. Speaking of sequencing, this is another exercise that I did of kind of mixing together screenshots and photos. And these photos are kind of supposed to work as pairs. So whether it's something visual, tying them together, or something a little bit more conceptual. This is another photo book I assembled with antique, like photos from an antique store and other postcards and things. This one, for example, says, "Here I am in front of an orange tree in the something." I haven't transcribed it fully yet. This one I made yesterday. This one's called Drink Menu, and it's all the white paint chips in Home Depot that have kind of like a name that resembles a drink, such as white mocha, calcium, like that would be a glass of milk, nice cream, pebble cream, like so much cream, bit of sugar. Yeah. The main thing on my shelves is this red toolbox. It's a really cool, like vintage Sears made in Canada. I do have a CD player. I have some local indie music, a lot of early 2000s Dixie Chicks, Sheryl Crow and Nelly Furtado, Norah Jones, some 80s such as Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, and then of course, Lord's best album. I do have a large amount of paracord and bungee cords. I really like how colorful and contemporary they are as kind of like an installation material. One of my projects this year, the quilt called It's a Girl, I hung with a really bright pink cord. This is, it's pieces of one of my sculptures, a Spanish pharmacy sign. I'm working on a version 2, which is why it's all dismantled. I have a lot of my silkscreen prints. One of the elements of my filmmaking practice is this documentary project called Salt. I thought, you know, I'm filming artists. I want a slate that's a little bit more artsy. So I made this out of wood. It definitely, you know, does the job. I have a large collection of exhibition pamphlets from around the city. I love collecting local things, especially if it's like paper. I have a lot of really talented artist friends that have given me these or that I bought. And then lastly, I have a small stack of some of my own publications. Thank you so much for visiting. You can follow me on Instagram or check out my website. I post every once every long time.